Praise the Lord. Give God praise. Hallelujah. Come on, you can do better than that. Give God praise. There's no greater God than we serve. God is the God of all. And He's the God of good, He's the God of bad, He's the God of all. And the Bible says, I will praise, I will bless the name of the Lord at all times. And His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make a boast of the Lord. The humble shall hear thereof and be glad. And the end of it said, oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt His name together. So come on, magnify the Lord with me, and let us praise His name together. Come on and give God a praise. I don't care what you're going through. God is able to deal with it and bring a good thing out of a bad thing. Give God a praise. I don't care what you're going through. God is worthy of the praise. God is worthy of the glory. God is worthy of the praise. Let's give God one more hand clap of praise. Come on, Pete. Come on up here and give us what thus says the Lord. In Jesus' name. Yes. Teenagers, go. Teenagers, go. Young people, go. I know y'all go. Come on.
Check. Is that good for everybody out there? What's that? Cash. Credit card only. Right. God we trust. All of us pay cash. Sorry? Oh, you ain't missing much anyway. It's just me. Oh, I look like Wilson, right? From Tool Time, he's always on the fence. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, roll. Yeah. Is it running now? It is running now. Okay. All right. Anybody who's catching the broadcast? Sorry about the beginning of that. Didn't know we were already running. Welcome to the first service at True Bible Temple. Okay, so we didn't have any broadcast last week because we had some rather extreme technical difficulties. So I'm just going to do a really fast recap for everybody who wasn't able to because yeah. Okay, so I was talking about what God had given His disciples, His apostles, and the commandment that basically He gave to everyone. And I had run down very quickly from 1982, right in downtown Washington, D.C. There was an airliner crash, and 6 people had survived that wreck. Unfortunately, everybody else perished, but a Park helicopter came in to try to help those people. And at one point, it was so far down in the bank that his skids were actually in the water. So anybody knows about helicopters, that's an extremely dangerous thing to do. So this guy was risking him and his co-pilot to see if they could help. And that's big. That's big. I mean, that goes beyond the job description. But what happened past that was this fella who was a passenger, Arlen Williams. They came to pick him up, and they were dangling a rope from the helicopter, and he passed the rope to somebody else. And they pulled them out. And they came back to get him, and they did it again. He did that 4 times. And the other 4 people that he passed the rope to all survived. By the time they came back for him, the tail of the plane had disappeared into the Potomac, and he went with it. Either froze to death or drowned, or probably both. I don't know. But anyway, whatever it was, yeah, he was gone. And so that was that. But you think about how those other 4 people must have been feeling. Right? And God gave us the commandment. He said, "No greater love is there for a brother to lay down his life." Right? He laid it down before. And he didn't most likely know any of these people. I mean, when you're on a jet, unless you're traveling with friends, most of the time they just randomly toss you together. You might be sitting next to some guy from Chicago, and the guy next to him might be from California. You don't know these people. He didn't have any vested interest here, except for the fact that he saw people in distress, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to do this." He wasn't looking for recognition. He wasn't looking for a badge. He wasn't looking for a plaque. He wasn't looking to shake the hand of the president. He just saw in that second that there's people in trouble, and if I can do something about it, I'm going to. Well, they renamed that bridge. Was it 14th Street, right? Yeah, they renamed the 14th Street Bridge Williams Memorial for him. But I'm sure that's not what he was thinking about. That he pulled that bridge named after me. I'm sure that never crossed his mind in the least. He's like, it's really cold in this water. And I see these people who aren't going to make it if I don't help. Here's a helicopter and here's a rope. I'm helping. And he did. So, as I pointed out last week, I think that's a perfect, sterling example in the physical and man-to-man of John 3:16. God to man, right? For God so loved the world, He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Now, obviously, those 4 people that He rescued are going to die sometime. I don't know who they were. I don't know their names, how old they were. Did they have health problems? They could have died later, maybe just from being in cold water so long. But none of that mattered. That wasn't his point. He had like a microcosm of God right there. Right? He saved 4. Jesus saved all.
Come on, man.
That are willing.
That's right.
That are willing.
Amen.
For God sent not His Son into the world to condemn, but that through the world, that the world through Him. Yes, let me try that one again. That the world through Him, these might be good, might be saved. And then I had jumped over and started going into Isaiah, and I'll recap that quickly as well. Who has believed our report? To whom is the arm of the Lord revealed, right? And we talked about that. For He shall grow up before Him as a tender plant and a root of a dry ground. He had no form nor comeliness, right? So, he wasn't Richard Gere, Mel Gibson, Hugh Jackman, anybody, any of these guys that women go, whoa. Yeah, that wasn't him. Now, could he have not done that? Right? Couldn't he have formed his son, into what we call the Adonis, the Greek idea of perfection, the rippling muscle and the perfect walk, it's just, and all the women are like, oh my gosh. But what would that have accomplished? He didn't come here to show off, did he? So he didn't look like Adonis for that particular reason, that we wouldn't look and have any extra interest, any point in going that way because of his appearance. God already knows how we think. Men, we see a good-looking woman walk by and we're like, whew. Pretty sure the women aren't too much different. At least the ones that I've heard that were open enough to admit it when they're just women around and they're talking. Well, hey, it's not always men with locker room, is it? But that wasn't the point at all. He sent him and He made him look like that, knowing that we wouldn't pay attention, so that we would hear what He was saying and get the message instead of the look. Because if He was so incredibly sparkly, handsome or whatever you want to call it, who would be paying attention to that? They would all be just like, and a half an hour later, what did he just say? He's already done his sermon and nobody remembers what he said because they were all like, it would have been pointless. And God knows this. He's not stupid. He created us. He knows exactly how we're going to think, how we're going to roll, how we're going to feel. So he pointed out particularly here several hundred, maybe even 1,000 years before he sends his son. He tells them, look, this guy is not going to be particularly handsome. He's not going to be a great orator. He's not going to be a standout in any way, except that he's actually God. That's the only thing that he excelled. Because the other things didn't matter, so they didn't need to excel. Right? And so now we get past talking about what he looks like, and now we get over to how we treat him. He's despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrow and acquainted with grief, and we hid as it were our face from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs, carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. Now we're going to talk about not what we thought about him, but what we did to him. But he was wounded for our transgression, bruised for our iniquity. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. I don't know if this is correct. There doesn't seem to be any historical backing for it, but I had read that Roman prisoners sometimes were not only abused in all physical ways, but sometimes were, I know I'd be clean about this, sexually assaulted as well. Okay? So when they said he was afflicted and bruised and attacked, it might have been even things that we would just be like, I went through all of that for us, knowing that it was coming. You know? If we go someplace where we shouldn't be, like North Korea, do I say that out loud? And get caught, they're going to send you to a prison. They're going to do really vile things to you. But you're only going to be able to imagine what those vile things are until they happen. He already knew. He didn't have to guess. Oh yeah, those stripes are really going to hurt. Does it not say that the Lamb was slain before the foundation of the world? So was any of this a surprise? Nope. He knew exactly how much blood was going to come out. He knew exactly how many times he was going to be whipped. How many of those little pieces of glass and metal were going to dig into his back. How long the thorn was that was going to ratchet itself into his head before any of this ever occurred. Because if not, then he's not really God. He doesn't know everything. He doesn't. Is that the God you want to follow? The God that only knows half? Well, I didn't see that one coming, but yeah, I figured that one out yesterday. That's us. Is that the God we want? But thankfully, that's not the God we have. Right? And then he talks, after all that, about us. Flips 180 degrees. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way. The Lord hath laid on him the failure, the iniquity. You weren't supposed to do. Does it say any of us are good? Doesn't it say all? It does say all, doesn't it? So does that mean we get any exemptions? No. Jamie, do you pass that one? You're a perfect man, right? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. No exemptions. It says what? That our best day is dirty rags, right? Filthy, right? Comparing, thinking our righteousness. We believe righteousness next to his. Of us all. Alright, so crucifixion was actually not invented by the Romans. It was invented, unfortunately, by some of my ancestors, the Medo-Persian Empire, who defeated the Carthaginians, and the Carthaginians thought it was pretty cool, so they adopted it. Well, Rome eventually sacked Carthage and burned the place to the ground, and when they got a hold of crucifixion, they went, oh yeah. Like, yes. This is nice. Yeah, this is a really painful way to get rid of somebody. Very public, and it takes a long time sometimes. It can be days before you pass. And you're in agony the entire time. So crossing the Roman Empire was a bad idea, right? Because they adopted, well, a few things that were good. Actually, the way their government was arranged, if you look at it in a theoretical standpoint, was actually quite good. They were even a little bit smarter on some things than us. They had term limits, which we only have for a president. Anyway, regardless of that, there was a very brutal society too. Laws were enforced strictly, and if you were not a citizen, you really didn't have very many rights, including being executed by crucifixion if you did something bad that was warranted or they thought it was warranted. So anyway, like I said, they adopted it from the Carthaginians, right? So the top pole, the piece that your arms went on, weighed between 75 and 125 pounds, as a good guess. Okay, and the vertical piece was probably at least 175. Now you see paintings, and reproductions of Jesus carrying an entire cross. That might have been, but I tend to doubt it because he was already beat within an inch of his life. Do you think he could drag 350 pounds down the street? I couldn't get that thing off the ground on my best day. I think he was probably just carrying the top piece because some experts, anyway, think that the vertical part was just left in place and it had some kind of bracket. And then when you carried the other half, they would get you up there and connect the brackets. And then that would start the whole procedure. So even so, think about that. Right? I mean, didn't get any sleep. He was whipped, kicked, beaten, scourged. He had the thorns stuffed onto him, punched, and then now he's got to drag something that weighs probably about 100 pounds with his back all ripped out and bloody, and you're trying to figure out how to get this thing to move forward without hitting the thing that's already all raw because you're all tore up. Can you imagine what kind of agony that had to be? I mean, even on a good day, pulling that thing wouldn't be any fun.
And not only that, he wasn't a very big man himself.
Right? Yeah.
So even without all the scourging and all the other stuff, that would have been a bit of weight for him to carry because he had to carry.
Right. Yeah. Brother Steve pointed out something too that this guy was not exactly Schwarzenegger in his prime either. He was probably about 5'6", 5'5", 5'6". That's pretty typical for men around that time. He's not a big dude, so this piece of wood probably weighed almost as much as he did. So you can see where that goes, right? And we get to the part about where he was speared, right? And it said that water came out and some blood. Okay? There's actually a scientific medical explanation for that. If you beat somebody hard enough about the lungs and kidney area, water will start to separate out. This serum comes out of the blood, and it'll start to pool. So he probably had I can't remember, tell you what the scientific term is, but whatever. There was, this volume that was building up, which would have made it even much worse because it would have been squeezing into his lungs. So that would probably help on a physical level explain why he died so much quicker than what they had expected. And they're like, oh, we're going to sport with this guy for at least a day. And I believe they said by the third hour, right? 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So when he was speared, all of that fluid that collected was then released. So it ran all down his side. So there is a scientific backing for that story. So people are like, the whole Bible's a joke, it's ridiculous. The idea that water covered the whole planet, this guy built a ship and all this nonsense. Like, I want to hold back a little bit on the super healthy skepticism here until you start looking at some of the science behind some of these things. We can actually prove them. It's like, really, I did not know that. sometimes that can be helpful for the people that think that if you can't find it in science, then I'm never going to believe it. Well, yeah, there's always going to be a percentage that you're going to have to take. That's why they call it faith. You're going to have to believe something that's not always completely scientifically provable. That's why it's faith. It's belief in something more than what you can see.
That's right.
More than what you can touch.
Come on here.
Right? What about in the upper room? The Spirit came down, and it was there. It was at those people, that 120, and they actually saw something. So it looked like a flame. So that was a physical manifestation of God. Now, I don't know if you had put your finger in it when you got burnt. I have no idea. I don't know if it was real flame or what. But they saw something before they started speaking. And then you remember the story after that, right? They're like, oh, these guys are all drunk. New wine, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty early to be drinking, right? Peter stands up, gives them the Pentecost message. He explains to them what they had just, well, for those who were in the room, what they had just seen, and for the rest of them, what they missed and why. And they had to either believe or not believe. And I get the number across here. It was either 3,000 or 4,000. It says that very dead became converts. Yeah, that's what I thought was 3,000. So 3,000 people said, okay, and scientifically this makes no sense, but yet I believe, and went with it. And they were converted. And if they stayed the path, because that's what it said, we need to run the race given till the very end. We don't just get 3 short laps around and they wave the checkered flag and it's over. We're good. We're going home to salvation. We're back to heaven.
Another thing too. When they heard the voice, the people that were outside the windows spoke different languages, and the language they heard was their own tongue.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's epiphany in itself.
Okay. That is a very good point. But Steve brought up that the people that were outside were hearing their own language, and they were speaking it not only clearly but very fluently, as if they had ever lived there or been classically trained by a very good teacher. And they're just looking at each other going, "These guys a bunch of fishermen? How are they speaking 14 different languages? That seems pretty unusual." He proceeded to explain how that could be. So now that we looked at what happened and where it came from, let's take it from there. Go to 1 John and see the rest of the story. And we have known and believed the love that God hath to us. God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. Look at that. We have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. We say, be holy for I am holy, right? We're supposed to do our best, right? Yeah. He said, step out in faith and move forward as best we can, trying to reach that mark, right? Didn't Paul say that? Strive. We're striving for the high calling, press to the mark, right? He said, I do that which I shouldn't, and I don't do which I should. So didn't he also say that I have to crucify myself daily? He said I bring my body into subjection, right? Because he was still a man too. So if he saw a good-looking woman, he's going to be like, oh yeah. Or whatever else he was pulled by. Maybe he was an alcoholic. Maybe he liked wine a lot. And he'd go past the establishment and like, I can't go in there. Be drunk for the next 2 days. We don't know what his pulls are.
Because we also had a terrible history to start.
We all have different pulls, right?
Amen.
Some of us can ride past the liquor store, pay absolutely no attention to it. Some of us are like, you got that itch to just go in there and get a bottle of Mad Dog, right? Because it's cheap and it'll burn out your brain for a couple of hours. Real easy. But yet other people could walk right in there and go, wow, that's an amazing amount of alcohol in here. And walk right out and not care. Not care in the least. So we all have to fight the pulls, right? And every one of us has a different pull. And he was saying that he was fighting his daily. Right? So if it says, as he is, so are we in this world, that means that we must never be perfect because we can't. We won't, but at least making the attempt. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. Torment is not polite. That's not a place that anybody wants to be. If I say, come on down to my house, I got this great stuff set up in the garage. I've got chains and whips and a hoist and all this kind of stuff. I'll give you torment. You're going to be like, I don't think I want that. But I come down and say, yeah, we're going to have a build party. Bring your Chuck down. We're going to put on some new toys and build some parts. We're going to put a new winch on. I'll show you how to do wiring and stuff like that. And be like, if that's what you're into, you're going to think that's pretty neat. That's going to be the opposite of torment, isn't it? That's going to be fun. That's going to give you joy. So that's what he's telling us. He's saying perfect love, whatever that is, and it's going to be different for everybody too, but we're supposed to be finding the root of that, the beginning of that with him. Right? Cast out torment. Oh, sorry. Right, okay. He that feareth is not made perfect in love. So can those two coexist? Sounds like he's saying no. Right? If you have one, the other one is going. It's out of here. We love him because he first loved us. Right? So, does anybody get a chuckle when somebody goes, I found religion? Did you?
I never know what's lost.
I haven't seen a milk carton yet that says missing. Jesus Christ. 33 years old, 5'6", 5'7", probably longish hair, most likely brown eyes. Call this number if you see him. Is Jesus lost? No. He's not the one that's missing. We were.
That's right.
We were. He's looking for us and going, I would hope and I want that you would come down and talk to me. But we don't always need that, do we? So, unfortunately, some people end up going to hell because they made a choice. It says that hell wasn't created for us, it was made for the demons, right? But yet, does it not say man is not born again? Water and spirit is not going to see the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
It's pretty blunt. It's pretty plain. Right? But he loved us enough, like I said, that we just went over to do what he did. For everyone that will. Right? If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he's a liar. Wow, really?
Yes.
Man, that's pretty severe, isn't it? Why would John make that statement? Yeah, exactly. If God is perfect love, and we have hate, then we don't have perfect love, do we? Do we have any love? Maybe, but there really shouldn't be together there, right? You say something about sweet water and bitter coming from the same fountain,
That's right.
right? So you're going to talk nice to someone and then curse someone else with the same tongue? That's not loving, is it?
That's not right.
But we fall short on that too. Be on the Capitol Beltway at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Have some idiot at 80 miles per hour. I was talking about that one. Have some idiot cut you off, and let's see what kind of words come out of your mouth. You're probably holding them back. You might not say them out loud, but you're probably thinking them. That happened to us yesterday. And I'm watching this guy, and I'm just like, why is there never a police car around? Do you really want him to see stupid behavior like this? Are you showing that guy love right at that point? No, not really. Because that's our human nature coming out, isn't it? That's our other side flaring up.
But you do want to lay hands on him.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of hands are going on. He hateth his brother, he's a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he has seen.
Right.
Now he extends this, doesn't he? How can he love God whom he hath not seen? And this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God loveth his brother also. And didn't he take that and make it the 3-foot thick solid steel pin that everything else is revolving around when he tried to triple? He said, which one of your commandments is most important? What did he tell him? He said, you got to love God, right? And then didn't he also say you have to love your brethren just the same? And you're going to love yourself. They threw him right off on that one, didn't they? Right? Because they were trying to trip him. And, that happened more than once. It's recorded in several places. Pharisees and Sadducees thinking they're, all smart and high and money and got their fancy clothes here. Like, we don't need this guy. I'm going to throw something out. He's not going to know what to say. He's going to trip it over his tongue. He's just sitting here going, bring it. And he shut them down every single time. Because he even knew their thought before they even had the thought, right? So he was never going to be tricked. But he took that as an opportunity, a time, right, to make a forceful statement and also belittle them at the same time, put them down in their place, right? You guys are thinking you're all up, right? And didn't he also say that the first shall be last, master shall serve, right? So he's saying to these guys, you're way past your pay grade here. You're all uppity thinking that you're all great, this and that, and everybody should bow and kiss your shoes. Didn't he say that they were nicely painted on the outside, full of dead things, corrupt, rotted bones on the inside? Yeah. He knocked them down harshly. So let's take that a little bit further and back up to chapter 3. And he's going to tell us what's going to happen when we try to be better. Marvel not, my brethren, the world hate you. Hate you. We know we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren. He that loveth not his brother abideth in death. Wow. Hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. We just came full circle back to Williams, didn't we? But whoso hath this world's good, and seeth his brother have need, and shutteth up his bowel of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him? My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tone, but in deed and in truth. What do people always say? I'm not going to believe what you tell me. I want to see what you do. Prove it. Right?
Right.
Prove it. If I tell somebody that I'm engaged to, that I'm going to do everything for you, and I'm going to love you forever, and after that, do nothing, or do very, very little, what am I telling that woman? Well, obviously I'm married now, so hey, Karen. But would she have believed that 3 years ago? Right? Like, well, this guy's really not going to be a very great provider, because he doesn't worry about making sure that the bills are paid, the mortgage is done. He's just finding toys for his truck anytime he feels like it. So instead of paying the rent for the month, he spent $1,300 on that armor plating that he wanted so he could go off-roading and not smash the transmission. Theoretically, I could do that. That would make me a very poor provider. And that would belie my words, wouldn't it? Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that would be hard. Beloved, if our heart condemn us not, then have we confidence toward God. And whatsoever we ask, we receive of him, because we have kept his commandments and do those things they're pleasing in His sight. And this is His commandment, that we should believe on the name of His Son, Jesus Christ, and love one another as He gave us commandment.
Amen.
Like I said, that right there is the 3-foot solid steel axle that everything spins around. If only 2 lines. Love Jesus, love your brother. He broke it down. It couldn't be any simpler. And he that keepeth His commandments dwelleth in Him, and He and He in Him. And hereby we know that He abideth in us by the Spirit which He hath given us. Capital S. Spirit of God. So, yeah, are we ever going to fail? Oh, absolutely. Probably daily. Right? But didn't Paul also say that if grace would abound, if I should do more evil, then he said, God forbid. We're expected, required, commanded to try to be better. We are not going to be perfect. But we can't use that as an excuse to hinge everything else on and say, well, I was created as an imperfect man. I know Adam and Eve and the whole thing. She couldn't stay on her diet. She wrecked everything. So I'm just going to live like the hellion because God told me that I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. Great, I'm going to make as many mistakes this week as I possibly can. Starting with Big Buff Eddie. And driving it from there. That's not what He's giving us lead, is He?
No.
He's telling us quite the opposite. You will fall. Get back up again. Ask for forgiveness. Ask Him for forgiveness. Ask someone else if you wronged them for forgiveness, right? Because doesn't it say also, leave your gift at the altar, go find your brother if you have a fight, which means you have a fight, you have a disagreement. You fix it. If that person decides to blow you off and use language and give you the gesture, sign language that's not hard to read, that's not your problem.
Right.
You did your job. You did your diligence, your due diligence, commanded by God. Go and try to fix it. Because most likely, unless he's a bigger man than you, he's sitting there going, I'm the guy that was aggrieved. I'm the one that had the thing done against me. I'm not going to go ask him to apologize or ask for forgiveness. You have to be the bigger man, woman, and go fix this thing. If you're the one that did wrong. Well, if you're both wrong, okay, maybe sit down and agree. Talk it. Say, okay, look, you did this and I did this, and both of those things were wrong, and now we're both very, whatever word you'd like to insert in there, non-speaking terms.
We agree to disagree. Yeah.
So we both screwed up, right? So fix it. Shake hands, forget it, and move on. That's what He's telling us. You're right, Mom. Sometimes it's very hard to do that. Steve said why Paul used press and race, and he also said I fight, I punch.
Right.
Those are all physical actions that are involving input of energy and time and difficulty, right? To be a good fighter is not simple. You train and train and train. And hopefully, you have some modicum of natural ability that you don't get your behind kicked every time you get in the ring. Because some people are just no good. I mean, really, let's be honest. I'd probably be one of those. I'd get creamed every time. No matter how many times he tells you, you got to block in, protect your body. Don't take rapid punches in the ribs here. I'd probably be smashed anyway. But if you have some ability and you're trained by someone who really knows what he's doing, then you're going to be a champion, aren't you? But all of that took time and pain.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I never heard a fighter say, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk. I'm going to love this. This guy's going to beat the stuffing out of me, but it's going to be fun. Not unless it's Tyson with one punch and the fight's over. The other guy never even touched him. That might have been fun. I don't know. But both of those guys come out, one eye like this. He goes, hey, Rob, save some for the sequel. They're all beat up. That ain't fun. It's a matter of which one got beaten less, usually, is who the referee claims is the winner, right? Both of them are going to be in pain for days. Was that fun? No. That's what Paul was telling us. Sometimes that life is going to be looking like. You might feel like you went a couple rounds with a professional fighter when you get done apologizing to somebody because of how much you had to eat. If you really, really did bad, that's a lot of crap. You probably didn't get any hot sauce or any salt with it. No fries on the side. It was straight up burn because you made a mistake and you got to own it. And he's telling us that this is life. It ain't fun. It ain't without pain. But we got to be man enough, woman enough to stand up and do it. What do people like to say? Pull up your big boy pants or panties or something like that, whatever it is, right? Stop acting like a kid. Suck it up. Act like an adult. Paul covered that one too, didn't he? Didn't he say when I was a kid I did childish things? I thought as a child, right? Acted as a child, I did stupid things like jumping off the couch and breaking your arm, which my daughter never did. Yeah, she did. This is what kids do. But we're supposed to be smarter, when we get older, right? That's what he was telling us. As an example, he said, I did dumb, childish things. Put away all those when you become an adult. Now I think as a man, I know as a man, I learn as a man. I put away the stuff that I used to do. You might still have a box of Legos. You might still think that that's fun to play with, but you're looking at it as a hobby as an adult. You're like, wow, I just had one rotten day. I think I'm going to go build me a little truck or something, A lot of people have hobbies that might appear to be something, that other people might think is kind of a little juvenile. A lot of guys collect model cars. I have a whole bunch. So somebody would say, oh, what, you got 4 cabinets full of toys? Yeah, you can look at it that way, I guess. Yeah, my office is full of toys. There's 2 big ones out in the driveway. The toys get bigger, they get more expensive when you get older. But I don't look at it the same way. I don't sit in there for a couple hours and go like this with my toy cars, where I did that when I was 5. Come
on, Ryan, you know you.
I'm found out. Paul told us that, right? He said you should think as an adult when you become an adult. And that's part of being an adult. We were going somewhere. I'm going to close. We were going somewhere. I don't remember exactly what we were going to do. And Jesse said, Dad, I'm gonna skip this one. And I said, okay. Wow, what's up? He goes, he's working at Dunkin' Donuts. He's on the opening shift. He says, I have to be at work at 5 o'clock. I gotta get some sleep. And I said, okay, I respect that. I will take you home so you can get some sleep. He goes, man, this add-on is tough. It is really tough. And I was like, yeah, well, this is the next 6 years of your life. Keep used to it. It isn't fun most of the time. But I don't know if that was his first epiphany on that, or maybe it was just his first epiphany stating it to me. But it was funny because it was such a perfect example of Paul. He put away childish things, playing video games until 1 o'clock in the morning with his buddies on the headset, yelling probably some things that are unrepeatable. He definitely said his friends use a lot of unrepeatable, but hopefully he's not joining in. But he's not going to be doing that now if he got 4 hours of sleep to go to work, right? And he gets that. He's becoming a man and getting out of being a child. That's exactly what Paul was saying. You got to put away this to take on this. So you can take that and use it as a little bit of an object lesson too, that we got to get rid of being in the world, a child, and strive to be God. Right? So we have to press to that mark, or at least attempt, right? And that was the point that Paul was making and what he gave us as a yardstick. So take that as you will, and you decide how much pressing you're going to do.
No pain, no gain.
And what is being a man or being a woman mean to you? And if you see things that are in your life that You see, you need some changing or killing completely. Go ahead and do that. Get rid of them. Kick them out. So the Spirit will assist us with this if we're earnest. Now that's the big problem. If you are actually earnest. Because how many times did Pastor say before, right? He was like to edge up a little bit closer to all that stuff he used to do and go, yeah, I remember that. I remember her. I remember that bar. I remember that boot joint. I remember all these places I used to go. Let me just get a little bit closer, but not touch it yet. And then you get close enough and you do touch. Let's stop edging close. Let's just drop it and move away. That's the choice we have.